All right, so you're going to pick one topic. Doesn't matter. You pick technology, you pick business, or you pick economic challenges. You'll write your paper about that. And I'm going to show you how I would break that category down depending on which one you want to pick for a paragraph. Here in just, I'll probably do that first, and then we'll work on writing your introduction. So, if you pick technology, okay, what you will need to do is you will need to write a paper, okay, where you include most of the information from that book, okay, or from that category, okay. You need to write about most of it. What I have done on my paper is I tried to break down these bullets into the way the paragraphs would best go together. And from what I figured out, if you combine, oh come on, it's not right, huh?
Can you open it with Cami?
Oh, okay, I don't ever use Cami or nothing like that.
Well, if you do that, you can do that.
All right. Thought easier just to use Loom.
You don't have any.
I don't have it. That way won't look right. No, it does. Goodness. I guess I have to do that. Alright, now. Alright, so, huh?
Did you have to hit the draw? It's right under the.
That one?
No.
No.
The one that looks like a divide sign, the one after that. It's like
That
the
one?
one below it. No, below.
That one?
Yeah.
Draw. Alright, so, if you choose technology, I'll talk to you something today. How to use technology. If you choose technology, what I would do is if I'm breaking my paragraphs down and you don't have a way to mark, you may be able to mark it on your computer, I'm not sure. I would include, trying to make sure I got it right. I think I had that right there as one paragraph. Okay? You could write a paragraph where you include as many of those things as possible. Okay? You could talk about barbed wire, steel plows, beef cattle, wheat farming, railroads, greater mobility, creation of new jobs, and rising standard of living. If you choose those, I'm even going to tell you where to look. This stuff was found in 2A. Greater mobility, creation of jobs, and rising standards of living was in 6A. I would make that a paragraph, and I'm going to try to help guide you through that paragraph here in just a second. But I would have all that stuff in one paragraph. I would then do this whole section right here. Make sure I got that right. Yeah, as a second paragraph. So all the communication stuff I would have as a paragraph. And then I would have all this last section as a paragraph. Ways electricity changed American life. Like I said, I'm going to kind of guide you and show you what you need to write down in your paper here in just a second if you choose that. Communication changes. It's in 4 and 6. I don't know which bullet they're in, so if you need help with that, it's in SOL 4 and 6. I just don't know if it's 4A, 4B, 6, whatever. You may just have to click through the notes and find it. And then all of this right here, I believe most of this is in SOL 6. I want to say it's 6. I think it's 6A because it talks about cars and then labor-saving devices. I think most of that is in 6A, which would put a lot of this stuff right here about movies and stuff in 6A as well. Okay? Like I said, I'll show you how to form that paragraph in just a second. You may just want to make a little mental note of that. If you choose business and you want to write your paper about business, I would combine these two bullets right here into one paragraph. Where in one paragraph I'm talking about my big business leaders. I'm talking about what was going on in big business and talking about what the big businesses were, railroads, oil, and steel. That is SOL, it's in 4 something. I'm not sure. I can't remember the fours off the top of my head. Somewhere in SOL 4. Then I would combine, I think I had it to here, these 3 bullets into one paragraph. I would talk about machines on farms. I would talk about how cities, had factories and stuff now, so they needed more workers, and then how people order stuff through the mail. That's in SOL 4. I just don't know which bullet it's in. Off the top of my head, I can't remember. I know it's not 4A. I don't think it's 4B, because 4A and 4B were Indians and immigrants. It's probably like 4D, something like that. I'll put that on there. 4D, I believe, is where you're looking. Okay, and then I would do this these last things as a paragraph where you're talking about where your factories were located. Textile in New England, cars in Detroit, the steel was in Pittsburgh, and you can even add, we talked about this, meat packing in Chicago. It's not right over there. Chicago. I know y'all probably can't read what that says, but meat packing in Chicago. Okay, like I said, I'll go over that in just a second. All right, and then if you choose economic challenges, I would break up negative effects of industrialization and rise of labor into one paragraph, because you're talking about all the stuff that was bad and how labor unions tried to fix it. I take it back. Go all the way down. It's not one to erase. Which one's the eraser? That one?
The eraser is the one that looks like an eraser.
That one. All right. Yeah, erase the whole thing. That's all right. All right. I would combine all of that into one paragraph, because again, you're talking about the negative effects, labor unions, and how they made things better. And then I would do a paragraph about the Great Depression and how we didn't have any jobs, and then do a paragraph about how we tried to fix it. That was 6D, that was 6D, this right here was 4E.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
If you want to add some extra stuff into the thing, you can press the plus button under the page, and it adds a new page.
Okay. All right. I may do that some other time, but right now I'm just trying to get that broken down. So, right now what you probably want to do is be trying to figure out which one of these you want to write about, so that way you can kind of tell, how you want to flow your paragraphs. If you want to choose technology, how are you going to break your paragraphs down? If you're choosing business, how are you going to break your paragraphs down? If you're choosing economic challenges, how are you going to break your paragraphs down? As far as which one, students always like to know which one's the easiest. I don't know which one. For me, if I'm trying to make a paper that can flow really good and would make the most sense, I like the economic challenges one, the last one, just because all of these things kind of go together. They're all right there in the same sections and notes. I could write a good paragraph about that. I could then write a good paragraph about the Great Depression and all the bad stuff about the Great Depression. And then I could write a paragraph about how the New Deal was trying to make it better and talk about some of the New Deal programs. And that just makes a good, 3-paragraph paper. If, you choose this one's not too terribly bad, because right here you're going to talk about your big businesses. You got your big businesses, railroads, oil and steel. Here were your leaders, how they get to be big. They advertise, they had cheap production. You can form a paragraph there. Then talk about how new machines, how they changed farms, how they changed the cities. On farms, we didn't need workers. In the cities, we did need workers because of the factories. And then you kind of have a paragraph where you talk about where those businesses were located. And like I said, I will get you started with paragraphs on all of these, depending on which one you choose. And then technology. This one might be the hardest because it kind of jumps around a lot. There's a lot of different things. Like you're talking about the inventions of the Great Plains, but then it also throws in cars. Then it talks about telephones and the radio and the movies. And then down here it continues to talk about, washing machines and stoves and all that. All right, so I'll pull that back up here in just a second. But let's we'll open up the actual smart panel. Do the whiteboard. All right, so what I want to show you first is what I would do if I'm trying to get the introduction. Okay, and feel free to have Google Documents up and be typing the stuff that I say that I would have on there if I was writing this paper. Okay. Now, I'm assuming you guys have learned in history class, or not history class, but in English class, how to start your introduction. Have y'all learned the raft and all that stuff already? The raft, I know I don't like it either, but I gotta get you guys ready for the writing, so we're gonna keep with that thing. The R stands for what? Restate?
Yeah.
All right, so that's the easiest sentence. What you're going to do is you're going to restate the question. You're going to restate that topic into a sentence. So let's find on that paper where we need to start that. It says, as Americans changed between the Civil War and World War II from a rural nation to an industrial nation, business and technology had major effects on the development of the country. Truth be told, if I'm writing this paper, that's my first sentence. What it says right there on that paper. I'm not going to write all that up there because that's just that. It's right there on your paper, right there. Right there, it's right there on the paper. So that would be my first sentence. Okay, as America changed between the Civil War and World War II from a rural nation to an industrial nation, business and technology had major effects on the development of the country. That would be my first sentence to my paper. Because what are you doing? You're restating the question. We're taking what they've given us and we're making that our first sentence. Is that what you've kind of been taught in English class?
Yeah.
Kind of take that and make that right there. There's your first sentence. Okay, now there's no set length to this. You got to be 5 paragraphs, but that would be my first sentence. The second thing you got to do, which is the A. Now I'm going to be lost on some of these other letters, but the A is, I think, answer. Where you're going to answer the question.
Pull it up.
I think it means you're going to give your kind of answer. So that the second sentence is where you need to tell me which of these categories you're going to write your paper about. Okay.
Is address the prompt.
Address. So that's what we want to pick. Which of these topics is our paper going to be about? Now this is where I'll get you a sentence, but your sentence needs to have which category you're going to write about. So. We've already said, as America changed between the Civil War and World War II from a rural nation to an industrial nation, business and technology had major effects on the development of the country. That should be your first sentence. Now we want to pick the category you're going to write about. So we need to create a sentence that includes which topic we're going to answer. So as a history guy, let me figure out how we can word an English sentence. Let's say you choose technology. I'm just going to choose technology because it's the first one there. I'm just trying to make sure I get it worded in a way that makes English people happy. If you're, you can go ahead and be getting your first sentence typed out while I process my thoughts. Let's see. So let's say we choose technology. We could say, business and technology have major effects on the development of the country. I'm trying to figure out if we need to change something in that first sentence because I don't want to get repetitive. If I saw in my mind, I'm thinking, technology had a major effect on, the American landscape. But that's kind of a restating the first sentence. We don't want to restate the first sentence again. Development of the country, technology. We could say in your next sentence, you could say, America experienced several changes in technology. Or you could say, America experienced several changes in business. Or America experienced several economic challenges. So if I'm writing this paper, we're trying to... How many sentences have they said your introduction should be? Is it 4 sentences? Is that the R, the A, the F, and the T? Or...
Yeah, 4.
Okay.
Right.
That's what I was making sure. There needs to be 4 sentences. So,
No, it's 6 sentences.
in your introduction?
Yeah. She made it into 6
6?
sentences.
I don't know if I can get y'all 6 sentences then. Alright, we may have to divert a little bit for my sake into the, maybe we can work a little bit more with Miss Potter on this. But I don't know if I can get you 4. I can probably get you, what's the F stand for?
For example.
Okay, I can do that.
By reading.
Huh? Well, we need to try to get this. That's kind of what this is for, is to try to help you get ready for your writing paper. All right. So what I would do then, I can get you 4 sentences. I don't know where the other 2 sentences come from.
I don't know either.
So the A, like I said, is where we're going to kind of. I said it was answer. Y'all said it was something else.
Oh, I figured it out. I figured out where she's wanting us to more sentences. I think she's putting the 3 examples in, for example, into breaking it up into sentences.
Okay. Because that would be my thesis statement. No, for example, I think the for example would be kind of like the thesis statement, at least in my mind. But like I said, I'm not a writing person. All right. So what I would do in the next sentence is, like I said, I then lost what I had said. Is you need to put down, if you're writing about technology, business, or economic challenges. What did I say? I would put America, and I write in cursive. If you can't read cursive, let me know. America experienced several, this is just the second sentence after you've already done the restate the question, changes in blank. That blank is which category you're writing about. Okay? Which category? Are you doing technology? Are you doing business? Or are you doing economic challenges? I don't know. You have to fill in the blank. You're picking that. Okay? I'll get you as far as we can. But then at the end, you've got to fill in some of these blanks. All right. So now we're saying, for example, right? All right. So here is where you need to take a little small bit of your bullet, okay, and tell me, is there a limit? 3 examples? 3 examples on, what you're writing. So let's say I'm doing technology, okay? I'm going to abbreviate technology. So we would then come back and say, for example, right? I guess, yeah, maybe. I'll have to defer to Miss Potter later. She'll come back in here and be like, Mr. Wilson, you told everybody wrong, and now I got to go back and fix it. For example, America, okay, and here we need to put in a word. I would use the word witnessed, but that's up to you. Witnessed. Okay. Now here, if we're doing that one, we can break up, our 3 paragraphs. If I'm doing technology, what would be a good way to lump barbed wire, steel plows, beef cattle, wheat farming, railroads, and cars? What would all those kind of be lumped in as? If we could describe them all in a word. Inventions?
Yeah.
Okay, so witnessed, we'll say witnessed invent. Now, if you're not doing technology, don't be typing all this stuff out. I'll give you ideas here in just a second if you're choosing something else. Witnessed inventions, changes in communication, and I get that from right there. It says changes in communication changes, and this is ways electrification changed American life. I wouldn't write all that out. I would say witnessed inventions, changes in communication, and electricity. So now my 3 paragraphs later on are going to be about the inventions, the changes in communication, and electricity. So that's how I broke it down. Inventions, communication changes, and electricity. If you choose something else, let's say you choose business. Okay? God dang, won't write. Maybe I can't write. So let's say you fill the blank in with business. You would then say, for example, America witnessed rise of big business. Okay, for example, America witnessed rise in big business, comma, mechanization, and that last paragraph where the businesses were located, how do we phrase that in the notes? Rise of big business, mechanization, and let's just put industrialization. I know I'm playing a word you guys would normally use in your paper, but that's kind of what it would be as industrialization. That's where we're going to talk about where all of our industries were. I know my writing stinks. You can't read that. So if I'm choosing business, I would then say, for example, America witnessed a rise in big business, mechanization, and industrialization. There's my F, for example. If you are choosing economic challenges, okay, so if I fill the blank in with economic challenges, I would then say, for example, America witnessed, we got to break this down. We witnessed negative effects of industrialization, Okay, right, like a doctor. Maybe I'm in the wrong field. So negative effects of industrialization. Like I said, I think this one's the easiest one for me if I was writing. The Great Depression. Comma. What do you think the last one is? Based on the paragraphs I told you. And the... Anybody? Bueller. Huh?
New Deal.
The New Deal. So if you're doing economic challenges, you would then say, for example, America witnessed negative effects of industrialization, the Great Depression, and the New Deal. Okay, so there's your third sentence. The first sentence, everybody's paper should start off. As America changed between the Civil War and World War II from a rural nation to an industrial nation, business and technology had major effects on the development of the country. America experienced several changes in, you pick the category, technology, business, or economic challenges. There's your second sentence. Your third sentence. For example, America witnessed, and here's where you're filling in depending on which category you're writing about. Then we got to finish off with a thesis statement. In my mind, that right there was the thesis statement. So I don't know what you all learned in writing class. If this was my paper, I would stop right there. That would be my introduction. Then I'd be ready to roll into the 3 supporting paragraphs. But
I don't even understand the thesis statement.
what have y'all learned about thesis statement? I'll be honest with you right now, for the history paper, that's a good introduction. I'll have to defer to Miss Potter later, and she can maybe edit and correct. But if you wanted to stop right there with your thesis statement or with your introduction, I think that's a good enough introduction for history class. Does everybody understand what needs to be in that first paragraph?
What did you say, like the first sentence?
The first sentence is right there.
Summarizing what the whole paragraph is.
So I kind of feel like that's what we did right there. We gave our examples and we're summarizing what we're about to write about. Because in my mind, and again, I'm not questioning Miss Potter. She's the writing teacher. I know Miss Taylor had that raft. That was kind of her idea, and it kind of got passed throughout a lot of the county. I never learned fancy writing and stuff like that. I'm not trying to put a knock on them or knock on myself and say I'm dumb. But if I was writing a history paper, which is what most of my papers were about in school, that would be pretty sufficient for my introduction. It would be, as America changed between the Civil War and World War II from a rural nation to an industrial nation, business and technology had major effects on the development of the country. America experienced several changes in, and that's where you're picking your category. For example, America witnessed, and then you're filling in those examples. Because when I learned in history class, these things right here, these 3 bullets, are going to be what my 3 what are going to be about. My 3 paragraphs. My first paragraph that I write about is going to be that, or that, depending on which topic. That's my first paragraph. My second paragraph I'm going to write about is changes in communication, mechanization, or the Great Depression. And then my third paragraph is going to be about electricity, about industrialization, or about the New Deal, depending on which category I pick. So we already know now that's what our paragraphs are going to be about. We've already stated that in the introduction. My paper is going to be about technology, where I talk about inventions, changes in communication, and electricity. Or my paper is going to be about business, where I talk about the rise of big business, mechanization, and industrialization. Or my paper is about economic challenges, where I talk about the negative effects of industries, the Great Depression, or the New Deal, and the New Deal. Okay, so that's the introduction. That for me, I'll be happy with that. Like I said, I'll get with Miss Potter and we can kind of edit and tinker as we get closer to your writing SOL what we might need to do to make that flow a little bit better. I haven't had time to talk to her about this yet, but I think that kind of gets you started. Anybody have any questions about that? Does everybody kind of understand what your introduction needs to be? All right. Does everybody kind of understand how I've broken the paper down as to where you find that stuff? And I'll help you with that right now too, that way you can kind of get started. But I need to erase this so we can move on and I can show you some other stuff. Everybody good with the introduction? Everybody understand that? Everybody kind of know which topic they're probably going to write about already? All right. Everybody need me to leave this up or can I erase it? We good? All right. I think I can just do it. Okay. All right. Don't move. All right. So, erase. All right. So, maybe. All right. So, if you're choosing technology, like I said, I already broke down the paper for you, and I'll put that back up on the screen here in just a minute. But if you chose technology, your first paragraph is about what? Who remembers? Anybody? I just erased it.
Inventions.
About inventions. So you would start your paper now, your next paragraph, by talking about the inventions. And this is where you got to get into those transitions. Have y'all done transition words and all that stuff? Been working on any of that?
First, second.
Yeah. So what you would say is, you're writing about technology. You could say the first change in technology was, I don't know which, we need to check, I need to check with her on that and we'll switch back to the black one. I don't know if we probably need to write this in past tense because we're talking about the past. The first change in technology was inventions. Okay? Now here's where you got to go to work. Because here's where you got to go back and research these inventions again, and you can't just list them. You have to do what? Tell me about them. Tell me what they were used for. Okay, it's going to make your paper a little lengthy. Okay, this ain't going to be a short paper. It's probably going to be, by the time you're done, at least 2 pages. Doesn't have to be that, but it's probably going, as you start explaining this stuff, it's going to start to get a little lengthy. So now you got to go in here and talk about these inventions: barbed wire, steel plows. And you don't have to write about them all, but you need to include several of them. I would put windmills in there. Windmills isn't on that paper. I would talk about that. I mean, if you talked about barbed wire, steel plows, and windmills as some of the old Great Plains inventions, because you could describe those pretty easy, right? What was barbed wire used for?
Fencing.
Fencing in. We didn't have a lot of trees. Steel plows because the dirt was too hard. And windmills were used for what? Who remembers? What did windmills do?
It pumped water.
It pumped the water. Okay, so there you go. There's some sentences already formed, and then maybe talk about the creation of new jobs and greater mobility. We're talking about the car. Okay, so you can go talk about the car. So that would be kind of your first instance. The first in technology. I can't. The first change. Yeah.
Just write it above it, put an arrow.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to figure out what the heck I was writing. The first change in technology was inventions. All right. And then you would say the second change, or secondly, technology saw communication changes. technology saw changes in communication. And then you start describing them. What are they? Well, we saw the telephone, we saw the movies and the radio. Okay? And then you say, lastly, or thirdly, or whatever words you want to use, lastly, electricity changed technology. Okay, and then you describe labor-saving products. You talk about washing machines, some more stuff about entertainment, whatever you need to, if you haven't already talked about it in the second paragraph. Okay, so if you choose technology, there's how you kind of get started. The first changes in technology was invention. Secondly, technology saw changes in communication. Lastly, electricity changed technology, and you've broken down those into 3 paragraphs. Okay, everybody got that? I'll switch over to another topic. All right, let's just erase it. We good? And if I'm doing technology, here's what I do if I was all of you. Okay, if that's my thing, why don't I go ahead and have my Google document out? And I indent, and I go ahead and write that first sentence. Skip down. Go ahead and write that next start of the paragraph. Skip down. Go ahead and write my third start of the paragraph, and just leave them blank for now, and go back up and type my information in. Does that make sense? I've got my introduction written. Here's my first sentence of that paragraph. Maybe skip a couple lines, and we'll bring it all back together when we're done. Write my second sentence, write my third sentence. That way I know what I'm writing about. And we just got to fill in the rest. All right. So if you were going to write about business, okay, we would say the first change in business past tense, was a rise in big businesses. And then I describe my Rockefeller, my Carnegie, my Vanderbilt, how advertising, and then the examples of big business. There's my first paragraph. I think it's in SOL 4. I think it's 4D. If you need to know for sure. I wrote just 4. I think it's in 4D. There's your first paragraph. Second paragraph. The second, I like the second. The second change in business was the use of mechanization. You could say machines if you want. Here it says mechanization. So there you're going to talk about machines. How do machines change farms? How do machines change the cities? That's basically it there. And then finally, what was the word I used for this one? Is it industrialization? I think so. Finally, industrialization changed businesses. And here you're going to talk about where your industries were located. The textile industry was located in New England, period. The automobile industry was located in Detroit, period. You could even say the automobile industry grew thanks to Henry Ford and his use of the assembly line. The steel industry was located in Pittsburgh, and the meatpacking industry was located in Chicago. Done. Done with that paragraph. Okay? And then we'll work on conclusion later. Okay? So again, there's your first sentence of each paragraph. We've broken down the headings for you. Anybody got any questions about that? Do I need to leave that up for a few seconds for you to type that out? Everybody good? Then I'll do the last one. And if you guys understand what we're doing, or if you're lost, or a little bit of both, maybe a little bit of both. All right, and then the last one. which we said was about economic challenges. The first economic challenge was negative effects of industries. Here you're going to talk about all the bad stuff. They're using kids, low pay, long hours. Labor unions came in, tried to fix all that. Secondly, and you don't have to copy this exactly. Secondly, the Great Depression caused economic challenge. Somehow, phrase that some way. Great Depression caused economic challenge, or challenges. Be more than one challenge there for that one. Finally, trying to think, because the New Deal kind of helped. First economic challenge. Finally, oh yeah, let's change that. Let's say the last economic challenge was the New Deal. Period. And there's your 3 paragraph starters for that. So in this paragraph, we're going to write about the negative effects of industry. In this paragraph, we're going to write about the Great Depression. In this paragraph, we're going to write about the New Deal. Okay, now where do we find all the information for all these paragraphs that we need to write about? Where's the information found? In your what? In notes, which you can go back in, find where it talks about it, take what the notes say and put it into a sentence. Do not just sit there and put a dot like my notes are down below that. That's not a paper. You do that on your writing paper, you're going to fail the SOL test. Take those dots and make them into sentences. Those dots are right here for you. A lot of what's in the notes is already right there on the paper for you. You just need to turn those into sentences that make sense. Okay? The first economic challenge was the effects of the negative effects of industries. Some of those negative effects of industries included child labor, comma, low wages and long hours, comma, unsafe working conditions, comma, or and period. You kind of covered that. These negative effects caused the rise of organized labor unions to be created to try to fix these problems. We created labor unions to help. One thing labor unions would do to try to get these things fixed is they would go on strike, period. After the rise of labor unions, the progressive movement was able to fix some of these problems. They got improved safety conditions, comma, reduced working hours, comma, restrictions on child labor, period. I just gave you a whole paragraph just right there. I just basically stated out loud that whole paragraph. So you can go back and watch the video that's going to be weird and spliced together here in just a little bit. You can dictate or take dictation of what I just said and type it out. And you've got a paragraph. Any questions about what I think you got enough to go ahead and get started. We may work on a conclusion tomorrow that we can kind of wrap up your paper. But does anybody have any questions about that? We did the introduction already. All of your introductions should be ready to go, ready to roll. Anybody have any questions about what you need to do for the paragraphs? If you need help, where to look and which sections of notes, I can try to help you. Like I said, I know a lot of them I just put SOL 4. I think I have an idea. I just didn't want to say it completely wrong. Yeah.
I need help.
Okay, I'll help you in just a second. But anybody got any questions about the overall thing, not just individual help on yours? Nothing? This won't be due until, I've got it set to be due Friday. I give you through the weekend. I give you through Saturday. But this is the only assignment we're doing in this class this week. So tomorrow, it's work on your paper. Friday at home, it's work on your paper. If you don't get that done, get it done before Sunday. Okay, some of you still work from last week that you didn't get done. But I think, have I given you enough to at least get you a good start and got you at least, you can get, an introduction, you can get some headings and some first sentences together. I can come around now and help you maybe figure out where to find the information and what you need to put in there. Or if I need to, show you how to break up your paper. Maybe I can take this paper and do a little bit better on it and post that on Google Classroom so you can see how I got it broke up. It may help some of you. Everybody good? Right, let me stop this and